Well, hello. Welcome to another episode of Agency Exposed.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, what's going on? How are you?
Are you guys exposed today?
I feel
Certainly
exposed.
hope not.
I feel a little exposed.
You got shorts on.
Yeah, I know. Today's a vacation day for me.
Yeah, I know.
I have some yard work to do later. I guess
I live close to Brad, so I'm going to be out watching Brad do yard work.
it's gonna be like 98 degrees. I know. I got it. As soon as I get done here, I gotta go do it before it gets too hot.
Yeah.
So
Summertime, baby.
yeah, summertime.
Summertime.
All right.
So we haven't recorded in a little bit. We've all been traveling and doing stuff. Obviously, the listeners don't know the difference because they get this a couple of times a month. So
Yeah,
but because of that, the world is changed. I would argue so fast, even quite a bit since the last time we met for a few weeks. So I want to talk about that today.
Yeah.
hold on to your
Sounds
hats because
Yeah.
it's changing quickly.
Yeah.
It's changing
Faster than
fast. The state of agency world life struggles, successes in 2023. We're almost at the middle of 2023 now, aren't we?
Yes, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. So I see a lot of things going on, not only in my own personal work, but I know in you guys' agency as well. I want to talk about that. You know, one thing I have noticed in the last month or two is I'm hearing from both agency owners and people that work at agencies. It's almost like a duality of things. I'm hearing business is booming and it's great, or I'm hearing we're really struggling. We can't keep people and we can't land the clients we need to. I'm not hearing anything right in the middle. That's kind of, I don't know if you guys have noticed that. You guys are doing well, or you're struggling. We can talk about that, but I'm hearing that across the board. And I think the common thread that I personally am seeing, and it could just be me, is that the medium to large agencies that are, you would argue, are a little more traditional in the way that they function, their roles internally, their headcount, having an office, that's a whole nother issue. The world has changed so rapidly. And now with artificial intelligence, OpenAI, ChatGPT, and people kind of thinking through what that means for creative, for copy, for day-to-day work functionality, I feel like those type agencies are struggling, quite honestly. But yet, the solopreneurs I know, the smaller agencies are really seeing some huge opportunities now. But there's definitely seems to be a sea change. Like we're going through another major thing, like when the internet and then social media and now this, whatever this is called.
Yeah,
You guys feel that? Agree, disagree?
I definitely agree. I mean, I feel like that's been happening, several times a year
Sure.
almost,
They're
like
small
in the
ones.
last few years. We're not seeing our business is better than ever, but I don't think that that's necessarily due to market conditions. I think it's due to getting better at what we do. And by getting better at what we do, I mean like how we conduct business. Not necessarily because we've always been. I mean, I'm not trying to be. I'm not sounding arrogant. Hopefully, we've always been really good at what we do for clients and what we do in our world.
dude, that's not arrogance. That's confidence.
It is confidence, but I don't want to come off as arrogance.
No, I know.
But we've always been really good in that area. But I think we continue, or my pursuit is like to continue to get better at how we conduct business in the marketplace. And I've shared over the last few months some of the things that I think are really pivotal. But I think one of them is like not being an everything agency. And I think that we were talking a little before we hit record, and we were talking about some of the fluff and things that are making it harder for people to hire some of these agencies. And my sense would be that that people want to pay for results, and they want to pay for someone who's really good at something, and they don't really want to pay for someone who's like not good at something but still sitting at the table.
Yes.
If that makes sense, which is a lot of what agencies typically do.
Yes. And the reality is that if you're an agency that 80% of what you sell is commodity business,
Yeah.
you're going to struggle in the future because
We're struggling now.
clients
probably.
don't want to pay for commodity business, and AI is going to, and those kind of technologies are going to start to simplify that so that those things can run automatically and do things automatically. So those are the businesses and the agencies. I think that's one thing that you have to look at is look at your pure play. What's your pure play? And like for you, you have pure play. We have a little less pure play. We're trying to narrow our offerings. And then,
Explain pure play for the listener.
well, just that you specifically do something really well, and that's what you're known for.
Do it over
Or
and over
one
again.
industry or one type of service that you offer as an agency. And we're still trying to figure that out because what we love to do is help companies scale and grow, and every company has its own unique challenges and unique things they're trying to do, which sometimes you need different services for. You need to bring in certain experts for. So, but pure play, is just knowing what you sell, and are you known for that?
That's a good part of it. I was going to say, if an agency's struggling, it's either because you aren't good at something, which is not probably the case, or you haven't really decided to do the one or two or handful of things that you are really good at so that you become known for that.
Yeah.
Or 3, you are doing the things but you're not known for it, which means people are not coming to you, or you're not known as the best in that space. We've talked many times, it's business is surprisingly simple, very hard to execute on this, but like the idea of what is your superpower, and then how do you become the only one?
Yeah. There's a big sucking sound with, I think, most agencies. And so, we talk about with business, you can be the cheapest, you can be the best, or you can be the only. I think it's very difficult for folks in our industry to be the only, unless they have IP tech that gives them that advantage, something really unique. But I think agencies are struggling between being the cheapest and being the best, and they're actually just mediocre. And so
let me ask you on. Well, you finish what you're saying.
Yeah, so they live in that space of not being the cheapest, but not being the best, and that's the struggle I think most agencies live in, and those are the agencies that are in trouble.
So there's a quote by Dan Kennedy, the marketer, right? Yeah. I think this is what his quote, but he said, "There is no strategic advantage to being the second cheapest.
Yep.
There is a strategic advantage to being the most expensive."
Yep.
Right.
So if you extrapolate that a little bit to say like that middle ground,
That's
basically,
like the silver medal thing we talked about.
yeah, that middle ground is horrible
It is.
because there's a million people there. There's only one. There's only really one most expensive and one cheapest, and then there's like literally everyone else and there's no advantage to being in the middle. So the strategic business focus of becoming the only one kind of does that.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
Being the cheapest,
Yeah.
that doesn't feel good, but it may be really smart from a business perspective. But can you be the cheapest and still be valuable, you think, to
Right.
be valuable to your customers? Can you?
I don't know that the customers see you as valuable. I think they see you as convenient. And I would say convenience
So you
can be a business model, but I don't think if you're trying to look for value, you're going to find that in being the cheapest.
when being the cheapest, you have to sell. You're a commodity business that has to sell something that is not strategic.
Either you're not strategic, either you have your business that like it's gonna burn you out, and you don't realize that you're in the business of price, and you think you're playing on price, but you shouldn't be. Or you're really smart and you've innovated something to the point where it's like so inexpensive.
I'm going to back up and correct myself
Yep.
on that last one.
Yep.
I think there is a play, and they're doing it right now. Have you seen the fast fashion company Shein?
Yeah.
SHEIN. Chinese company, right?
Yeah. Most are.
If you talk to any Gen Z, they know what Shein is. If you go to TikTok, you'll see the Gen Z TikTokers, right? But basically, you go to Shein.com, SHEIN, I think, or IEN. And you will see a world of hundreds of thousands of really nice looking and nicely presented clothes. And it is super, super, super cheap, the cheapest, right? So you can buy a really nice men's shirt for $4. You can buy a t-shirt for $2. You can buy, on and on it goes. And you can buy shoes.
They're competing with thrifting.
They're competing with thrifting, but they've somehow created a way that we're going to manufacture. Now, we're not going to talk about the ethics. We're not going to talk about
because we know how they manufacture that, unfortunately.
Right.
It's slave labor,
But I think that's an anomaly. That's a little bit of a unicorn, because I think they're talking about going public and an IPO for Shein. And that could be interesting. But we've seen this with Alibaba and others, where you did have a convenience level of, crap, I can go to Shein and get my whole wardrobe for $50, right, or whatever. There's a convenience of that, but I just wonder what the life cycle of something like that is.
I think talking about being the cheapest is probably never the best option, but it's worth talking about, though, because I think, like, you may have a process, a certain process that you've created that, again, I think you can be inexpensive if you specialize, potentially, right? Because you do the same thing over and over again. You refine it. You might have a process. You might have technology that you develop to assist you, and that might allow you to deliver something at a much cheaper price than the competition can do, because they don't specialize in that area or no one else does. And also make a really good profit margin. Like, that is possible, I think.
I also think, too, that being the cheapest can allow you, if you're strategic and you have a good marketing plan, it can allow you to acquire a large customer base really fast. And then I would imagine Shein's strategy is, we make cheap clothes. They don't last that long, but they're cheap enough that people don't mind. They're going to come back and buy over and over, and we're going to market them, and we're going to know their buying habits, and then we're going to email them, et cetera, et cetera. So the lifetime value of being the cheapest could be a strong play for you.
Oh, in the consumer world, yes. I would caution anyone in the service world, like looking at a consumer company, like thinking that they can build that model, because that's what a lot of people do, right?
And I think that's the question. That's the thing, is that if you're trying to be an agency and you're trying to live in the service world, being cheapest is tough.
Yes.
But if you think of your agency as a product, and you're actually building a product that you can get the masses to use, and is cheap, and you're looking at volume at that point, or lifetime volume, and there's not a lot of human resources put into it, because maybe it's tech related at some level where you're offering your services, but now it's not driven by humans, it's driven by technology. That can be highly scalable. Then all of a sudden your cheapest could be the best.
Well, the other side of being like, this is like B2B versus B2C. Being the cheapest is very different, price strategy is very different on B2B versus B2C. Okay, if you have a B2C company, right, so that clothing brand, they don't care if the customer is a customer that buys cheap stuff or the customer that buys expensive stuff, and you might get a customer that buys both. In B2B, the person that wants the cheapest service provider, or the business that does, is probably going to be, well, this is factual based on a few sources, that like people are more difficult when they're paying less in the B2B world.
Sure.
Yes.
So it's going to cost you, because they have less money, because everyone in the B2B world is going to buy something because they want a result, because it's a business, right?
Yes.
And so the only reason they'd want to pay the least for that result is A, the result is not worth it, or B, they don't have the money for it, so they're kind of like gambling to try and get the result, if that makes sense. And both of those situations means that it's going to be difficult to find success and potentially a difficult relationship. So that's why, one of the reasons why I think in the service world, the cheapest is really hard, because you're selling to a business, and there are not many scenarios where a business would want to pay the cheapest for something unless they just like unless there's those two scenarios, right? Or it's a sheer commodity, which they know they can do themselves for nothing, or there's a million other people that are doing it.
Yeah, that's a great point. So let's talk about what agencies can do as they look down the road to the rest of the year into next year, and what do they need? How do they need to adjust? And obviously, we're just giving our opinions and our ideas, but I do believe that we're seeing a contraction of the larger agency model and a rearrangement of the small solopreneur and small agency as they move toward diversifying from being a commodity business. What are you doing specifically, Brad?
I mean, for us, we're trying to acquire and make sure that, like, we have a goal of a 20% of our revenue in the next 5 years come from our own products, and so that we're not relying on clients. We are the client, and so we've gotten pretty good at helping customers out and helping sell our customers' products and services. So we're using that knowledge and we're using it for our own. So we're looking at partnering, acquiring, and then another thing we're doing too is we're looking into kind of a roll up with some other agencies. So we're looking at what that looks like a little bit and trying to figure out if there's a future there that we can maximize by putting the power of multiple agencies in one as one. And that allows us to go after larger fish, get different types of businesses, allows us to maximize expenses and maximize resources within a community of agencies. And we're trying to figure out what that looks like. So currently right now we're in talks with a group of agencies that are like-minded, who are looking to do a very similar type of roll-up and to understand what that might look like. So it's we would still act as our own agencies. We just would be it would be part of a greater community and a greater offering.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Why the product thing?
Why?
Yeah.
Because this has been something that's been ongoing for a while, but I think we're starting to put a little bit more, trying to find opportunities. It's when opportunities come along, where you see, hey, we could help take this company to the next level or this product to the next level. It just didn't have the fuel it needed, and then trying to find those and then seeing what that looks like as far as acquisition. We definitely are in acquisition mode, so we're acquiring, where we're doing joint ventures and setting up new organizations in that way. Something that's been on my heart for the last 3 or 4 years. I haven't really pulled the trigger on it.
Yeah.
But it's not all high tech. It's all stuff it's all products and services that we know have a space and they're valuable and the right type of products. And we also have some IP that we've acquired and that we're looking to roll off into some products as well. So there's some like lower hanging fruit that's a little bit more, we can like jumpstart tomorrow. And we have product in the marketplace already that's been tested. And then some of it is kind of future stuff that we're developing.
I mean, obviously I love that. I was just curious in your just some of the reasoning as to why you get into it. I mean, I think I know.
Well,
it's like,
yeah,
diversifying is critical.
Yeah,
but it's hard. Like, it sounds easy to say, like, I would be a proponent of like productizing a service business all day long. That's definitely what we do. Yeah. And we own some product companies. We've got a fund to acquire them, and we're actually in the middle of launching another one. But it takes a lot more skills than I think. I think the reason why a lot of agencies don't do it is because there are maybe perceived things that they don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for us, it's like trying to find, to me, it's all about understanding the numbers and making sure that I'm excited about the brand we're developing and the what the future could hold for that brand and trying to find a path forward with it. That feels exciting to me, and also I know there's a market for it, and it feels good. It feels like we're giving back. It's like a very valuable.
You're giving.
Very valuable product.
Did you get anything in the first place?
Did I get anything? What do you mean?
You said you're giving back.
No, I just feel I want to work with products. I want to work on my own products in our agency that we feel strong that it's actually adding value to. We're not just schlepping some, piece of Chinese stuff. It's like there's something that feels it's
good.
Giving back to the community. It's helpful. Or a product that is unique enough that people are excited about it, and it kind of fills a gap or a void that is not there, or creates a stronger narrative that is positive in some certain ways. So, So we'll see how that goes.
I'm excited for you. I think that's really awesome.
We'll see. And it's just
you had that other little product for a while. Did you ever do anything with that?
We have a light that we've been developing. Yeah. We haven't actually. We've got to the point where we just have prototypes. We have IP on it. We're not sure about the marketability of it. That's a challenge. It's a little more difficult, but we do have a new offering, a new product that we're going to be launching. And right now we're trying to really push into it a little bit to find out whether or not it's as valuable as we think it is with the consumers. And so we'll be working on that and testing things, and then we'll have a larger rollout probably in about 6 months of it. And it's sometimes it starts with smaller stuff, smaller products and services that you can offer. But just that, I think the thing is for me, it's like, this business is really tough. And when you rely on clients that you can't really, you're not completely in control over it. Like, you might feel so great about a client and they call you tomorrow and, they have bad news. Got bad news for you.
Right.
Or a marketing director or a CEO leaves and all of a sudden they bring in new blood, and next thing you know, you're not as valuable to them anymore. Or there's somebody, you get circumvented or whatever pretty quickly. So I don't like living in that world, to be honest with you. It's not my favorite part of my business.
That's too volatile.
It's too volatile, and it's just dealing with people. So I want to take some of that off our table, and I want to say, hey, what if we put our minds together and really did what we do for our clients and make that success our own and own everything, where you don't have folks. The only person that's telling you what to do is your customers, your end customers. Like as far as products, like they tell you which way to push your product maybe, but they're not, there's enough volume there. There's enough, you're doing enough, producing enough, great stuff, and you own that product.
So what you're saying is you make yourself one of your number one
correct
clients.
Customers. Yes.
And I think that's the biggest thing we all know in our head. It makes sense. It's impossible to do, in my opinion, when you have so much expense that you're constantly trying to keep that afloat.
Yeah.
Meaning your overhead, your office, your staff. You can't think about going, now let's devote X amount of hours and time to develop our own thing, because there's that psychological of, it doesn't pay me and pay the lights or pay salaries right away.
Yeah. So again, psychological, it's real.
It's real. And it's real, but it's also, it's not as difficult, I believe, and I could be wrong, as I think in our heads, the games we play of, I've got 10 paying clients and it's a really good month and I got to prioritize them. I can't take my team, and that's the key here. I can't take my team off of that and start developing something of my own. I'll get to that eventually, and you just deprioritize it.
What I've learned is that for our agency, it's very difficult for us to build something from the ground up of our own products. We just don't have the bandwidth of time and expertise. What we found is really probably going to be our future is to find those who've already casted an MVP and already got something on their feet that has done some of the hard lifting a bit and being able to then scale it. But first, at some level, acquire it or create some joint
It's a
ventures.
record. It's a record label model.
Yeah, exactly. The record label model.
I mean,
I like it.
I just to tie this together, because there's the reason. I know we're talking about like the ways that you balance your business, right? But like the reason you would do this is because simply depending on one source of business doesn't allow you to conduct that business in a healthy way.
Sure.
What I'm saying is like, it's, I said this before, like, number one, the reason why, like, there's like, I've got to, if I want to launch a product, or if I want to do something that is not service based, by the way, you'd want to do that because it balances your business more. It actually makes you better at delivering the service. It's funny how clients hire agencies to never make mistakes. That's why they would hire them. So the agency can never make a mistake. But then how do you innovate if you don't ever make a mistake? And most agencies don't have their own product lines, so they never have a place to innovate. Therefore, they don't innovate.
Yes.
So I think it's essential to be good at whatever you do, to have your own place where you can fail and play with.
And I just want to add to that.
Yeah.
You are much more apt to put the energy into your own products, even further than your customer,
Right.
your clients.
My point is like, it raises all ships. It helps your clients.
Yes.
It helps you. Helping you helps your clients, by the way. Like you need to make it about you first so that you can even help people. But there's this idea that you can't do that because it's sacrificing your clients, or it's a distraction. It's not a distraction. It shouldn't be. It should be like, what's your superpower? How do I own something in my superpower space if I'm going to serve people in my superpower space? And we talked about getting to like the core of what you do. Like one of the reasons where for Medicake where we've been able to dial in is we own brands, we've launched brands, I invest in brands, and I consult with brands. So when a brand comes to me and they're like, have you done this before? Oh, actually, yeah, I've done it here, and I made this mistake here, and I've actually done this here, and I haven't just like spent a bunch of money driving ads to go from like $0 to $60 million. I've actually run the company and gotten to $60 million. So I can certainly help you. And that's much more, that gleans a much higher price. And that's kind of why I believe when you invest, or I've experienced, when you invest all that into an area where you're like the best in that area, you can also charge a very premium price for that area, because you can deliver premium confidence in results. Because I don't think you can deliver results because you don't control their business, but you can deliver premium confidence in their results. And all of it plays down the same path, right? So it's not pulling apart. It's not, but here's the problem I see. Like most agencies can't do that because they don't have any profit to do that with, right?
Yeah.
So like if you don't have, let's say you make $1 million a year, you bring in $1 million a year, I believe you should have $300,000 of profit, like 30% or so, right? After you pay yourself. If you have that, now you've got $300,000 where you can actually invest that in R&D, like owning your own, like starting a product or a service or some area where you become one of your clients, so that now you've got this, number one, an asset, number two, stability, number three, something that you can say, hey, I innovate all the time over here. I bet you'll be so much more valuable in the marketplace, I would expect, if you did that. Yeah. But it does start with profit.
The challenge too is,
and to get profit, you need to raise prices. That's kind of where I'm going.
Recent reports of marketing and advertising agencies, their profitability is at about, on average, 12%.
I know, it's crazy.
Like, you can't do R&D if your profit's only 12%. Your growth, you can't grow unless you go out and capitalize like crazy your business.
And in my experience, because I often talk and consult with some agencies, in my experience, that 12% includes the owner's salaries.
Yeah.
So if you take the salary out,
you're at zero.
They're at zero, at negative. It's so common.
I've known so many agencies that run that way.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. And what's sad, maybe sad's not the word. What is exposing right now in the world that we're in is there's these waves of lowering the prices of commodities that happen, and we're in one of those huge waves. And so while they could get away with that and make it like we can get a bunch of clients to make, and we can sustain, now all of a sudden clients are saying, I know you said it's $20,000 to engage you. And we have historically said, well, that's just the cost of doing business to get good work done. We're going to take that off the table now. We're not going to do that anymore. Why? Well, everyone's telling me that we can use a machine to write just as good copy, that I'm paying your copywriter $5,000 a month or whatever it is that you're paying him. We've heard that they can run these ads and create pretty good graphics that I'm paying you $7,000 to your creative director. We're going to take that off the table. And I think agencies are scrambling, like you said, like, crap, that 12%, we've got to keep that going. So we're going to lay off, we're going to lower our prices, whatever it may be. And that's a struggle. I get that. But I think what you guys are talking about is the way forward. I think people have to think creatively about their sources of income and not just rely on those commodity services, because those are going to constantly go through these waves of being lowered. And
I think when you have a customer who's constantly thinking about how they can not fire you as a whole, but take away resources that you're charging them for and bring that in-house, or no longer spend in that area, or do it cheaper. Like I feel like that's a constant thing with our clients. They're always looking for a way. I get it. They're trying to cut costs, right? They're being asked to cut costs, and they're trying to look at, how do I optimize? Like I'm paying full time for this person in my agency. Why don't I just bring them in house and pay half the price? Now,
but we know it's more expensive in house.
Yeah, it is.
I actually do the calculation for people.
You got to manage them. It's much different, because
what we're talking about is you have to become indispensable.
It's like about
you're the last one they cut.
Yes,
it's about 4 times as expensive to bring it in house.
Yeah.
There's math all over the place for it.
Yeah.
I oftentimes, we don't always do this, but at times, if people, are concerned about like what it might cost to do something, I might show them that, because they don't really do that calculation, right? But you're right. Like at the top level, it's like, oh, this makes sense. I'll just have it in house, and then I can just tell this person whatever I want them to do.
Yeah.
We know that that's A, probably not smart, and B, it has a lot more cost than that, especially time cost and focus cost. And you're not going to get an experienced person. But from the agency side of things, like, you need to, like, it can be hard to communicate that. And I think it starts with, like, you guys do a really good job of a lot of things, and your financial mind is really sound, right? And so, but that's not the case with a lot of agencies. A lot of agencies that I talk to, they're just selling a service, and then at the end of the month they look and they're like, oh, I made some money, and then they didn't pay themselves, and then after they pay, like, they actually lost some money. So, it can be easier than you think, but you have to find the superpower, and then you have to figure out your cost basis, and then you have to add your profit, and then you have to say, there's just, it's a couple steps. Like, one is like, what do I need to charge based on my cost? Not based on my competitors, based on my cost. So let's say, I'm an agency. Let's say I have one person, just me, right? Let's say I don't get paid a whole lot. So let's say it's $100,000 a year for me. All right. Well, if I get one client, they're going to have to pay $100,000 a year, right? Like, or something, right? Like, it doesn't matter if someone can do it for $10,000. You can't if you can only take on one.
Yeah.
So my point is I don't think a lot of agencies go through the realistically, what does it cost us to run this business, right? Because of how many clients we take on, because of how deep we go. And they just kind of like, I think they get lazy. They don't do that work. They just decide to price it based on what other people price it, and then they figure out if they're going to make money, and they hate their lives, and they make no money, and they can't build a business. You got to figure out cost basis up plus profit, and that's your price. And if you want to change that, you got to figure out innovation of your costs, or you have to get more, how you can take on more clients or whatever. But that is the reality. And then you look at it from top down, and you're like, okay, what's the value this actually creates? How can I create a story around that? By the way, value is perceived. So you can actually influence value just with words very, very easily. And that's not manipulation. That is just the reality of situations, right?
Communication.
It's communication. Communication, words are valuable, and situations are valuable, right? Like a situation determines value, right? A cigarette lighter is $1 in the store. It's $1 million if you have the only cigarette lighter and you're in the middle of the desert and there's whatever, right? So situations determine value. My point is don't look at your services and just say, oh, it's always this value. No, find the people. You've done your cost analysis, like I need to charge it at least amount of this. Find the people that can pay that and that want to pay that because it's valuable enough. And then look at, you might actually find a market where it's a lot more valuable. And I talk to a lot of agency owners about this, and a lot of times I come up against like a very limiting belief of like, oh, we cannot do that. Just can't do it. No one does that. It's wrong to do that. All this stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's they're suffering in this really poor business model
especially today. When young kids all around them are like eating their lunch.
Right. But like, find out what make your like downside like your superpower, whatever, right? But it's not as hard. I mean, it can be hard to execute, but it's really I think it just takes a little bit of discipline of thinking, and then like how you communicate that and how you find the right people. And you will find that when you find the right people that find value in your superpower, and you charge a premium price because you're awesome at it, and you deliver a result, and that price delivers an ROI. You can't control that. I would never guarantee that, but you can guarantee your side of it. Then you'll find when you charge that premium price, those people will be happier because, and this makes a lot of sense, because success on their side is often a decision. It's so funny. I'll talk to a potential client, and one of the determining factors of if we work with someone is, are they deciding to be successful? Because like, I think, and the answer is no if they're relying on you. If they're like, hey, we don't think this can work, and that's why we're hiring you. So yeah, okay, you want that? Like, it's gonna, like that's not going to be successful. Because it's funny. I've worked with, like you guys, like I've worked with so many different business owners and businesses, hundreds and hundreds. And I've seen the business models that I would think would never succeed go like gangbusters. And the products that I thought are awesome fail. And it turns out the determining factor in success is simply the person who's like the leader or the team basically saying, we will be successful one way or another. That factor is critical. And so like, if you don't have that in somebody, then, so where I'm going is when you charge a premium price, it actually sifts out all the people who are not deciding to be successful. Because the people who have confidence and they have a certain amount of budget and they're going to spend it, and they're going to be successful, and you're going to help them do that. But the premium price helps sift out all the people that are not.
Got it.
It also,
you're saying it sifts out the unconfident
yes
folks because they're not willing to put it all in.
Right. And it also turns out that when you the people that are in the businesses that can then have the mindset of investing in something at a premium level will also not nickel and dime you, because their philosophy on life is more of that of, hey, we're going to be successful at this. There's abundance here, not scarcity.
Yeah.
And then one of the many factors, the third thing is like you have more ability to help them be successful.
Yeah.
So everyone wins. Everyone's happier when you can find a superpower that you can get an ROI on, that you can charge a premium price because you're the best in it. Everything changes for you. And And I think it's very counterintuitive to like I think a lot of the discussion out there today and most of them.
Let's do a lightning round, guys, to wrap this up. I'm going
Yeah.
to put you both on the spot.
Yeah.
Start with you, Brad.
Okay.
What is the one thing that every solopreneur, small agency, medium and large agency needs to be thinking about and or doing for the rest of this year?
All right, here we go. You need to take time off. Let me tell you why.
Make it quick. It's a lightning round.
Yes, sorry. You need to go and take a day and not deal with the business and go away, take a walk. And I'm telling you, and think about life and what you're about personally and what is meaningful to you personally. And then go back and run your business. It will help. Trust me.
Excellent.
That's good.
Don't overwork. Allow time. Allow some space.
That's good.
You need to make a significant investment in your business. Like, I mean, buy something expensive that scares you that is an investment. Like, not like necessarily a car, but like pay a mentor $100,000.
Like a
Good
building.
one.
No. Yeah, it could be.
Okay.
But something that like
It's going to have value.
something that has value, but also something that makes you like expands your level. Because look, you can't sell someone something for $100,000 if you don't buy something for $100,000.
Like that.
I would close and say, find out what your only is and become the obvious expert and work on that for the next 6 months. And that might mean finding your own language, finding your own personality, find your own words, as we talked. But find out what you are the obvious expert. And if you say, I'm not any obvious expert, you haven't found it yet, because every human being is unique, like you said. So with that, gentlemen, until next time.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys for listening.
Bye.
Appreciate all you.